What if I told you that one careless word, one uncontrolled mood swing, one reckless financial decision, or one uncontrolled thought could completely ruin the life you're trying to build? Most people lose their battles not because they're weak, but because they never learn to control themselves. But here's the truth. The moment you master your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You start being a creator of outcomes. And that's where real power lives. Pause right now and ask yourself, how many areas of my life are being sabotaged by a lack of control? Commit to one small action today. Control your words, your feelings, your spending, or your thoughts. Pick one and watch it ripple across every area of your life. Your mouth is more powerful than most people realize. Every word you speak carries weight. It either builds or destroys, it either opens doors or slams them shut. A careless comment can linger in someone's mind for years, shaping their perception of you, while a carefully chosen word can inspire loyalty, trust, and respect. The problem is that most people underestimate the subtle, invisible power of what they say. They react impulsively, speak in anger, or let gossip slip out as if words were meaningless. But words are not empty. They are seeds planted in minds, in relationships, and in your own life. When spoken without thought, they can create conflicts, burn bridges, and even turn opportunities away. On the other hand, when controlled, your speech becomes a tool of influence. It becomes a way to assert authority without aggression, to persuade without coercion, and to navigate life's challenges with precision. This doesn't mean you suppress yourself or live in constant fear of saying the wrong thing. It means you pause, you reflect, and you choose. You ask yourself, will this add value? Will this escalate negativity? Will it strengthen or weaken my position? Silence in the right moment is not weakness, it is strategy. Restraining your mouth allows you to conserve energy, maintain control, and observe situations with clarity that others cannot. You notice patterns, anticipate reactions, and act decisively rather than emotionally. And here's the deeper truth. Controlling your words doesn't just affect others, it transforms your own mind. When you speak less impulsively, your thoughts become clearer, your emotions more stable, and your relationships more meaningful. You stop feeding drama and you start building influence. Over time, this simple act of self-discipline, choosing your words carefully, becomes the foundation for control in every other area of life. Because if you cannot control the words that leave your mouth, it's nearly impossible to control your mood, your money, or your mind. Master your speech, and you master your reality. Your mood is not just a state of mind, it is a tool, a weapon, and a signal to the world. Most people allow their emotions to control them instead of the other way around. A sudden outburst of anger, a moment of frustration, or a wave of anxiety can dictate decisions, ruin opportunities, and destroy relationships before anyone even realizes what happened. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing feelings or pretending to be calm. It's about mastery. It's about choosing how you respond to every situation rather than reacting reflexively. When you control your mood, you control how others perceive you. People are naturally drawn to stability and reliability, but they fear unpredictability. When your emotions are unpredictable, they hold power over you. They shape your decisions, your words, and even your self-esteem. But when you maintain emotional control, you gain an advantage that most people will never have. You can navigate conflicts without losing your footing, make decisions with clarity instead of panic, and influence situations without aggression. Emotional control also creates a protective barrier against manipulation. Toxic people, chaos, and high-pressure situations lose their grip on you when your mind is calm. This doesn't happen by chance. It requires practice, awareness, and self-reflection. It means noticing triggers before they hijack your reactions. It means breathing, pausing, and reframing situations in a way that aligns with your long-term goals. Over time, consistent emotional discipline strengthens every other area of your life. Your words become precise because they are not colored by reactive emotions. Your money decisions become logical because panic and impulse no longer dominate. Your mind becomes a fortress because your internal state is no longer at the mercy of outside events. The truth is, the person who masters their emotions is never truly vulnerable. Power is not about force or aggression. It's about the quiet command of your inner state. When you control your mood, you are no longer at the mercy of chaos or other people's agendas. You are in charge, and that is where true influence and freedom begin. Money is far more than a means to buy things. It is a reflection of discipline, choices, and control. Most people think wealth comes from earning more, from luck, or from timing. The truth is far simpler and far harder. Financial success comes from controlling your impulses. Every decision you make with money, every purchase, every investment, every temptation you resist or give into shapes your future. Impulsive spending is like a slow leak in a bucket. You might earn a lot, but if your money constantly leaks out through careless choices, you'll never fill the bucket. Discipline in financial matters is not about deprivation. It's about prioritizing long-term results over short-term gratification. It's about asking yourself, do I want this temporary pleasure or do I want long-term freedom? Every time you choose wisely, every time you save instead of splurge, every time you invest in growth rather than waste on fleeting desires, you are building power. Financial discipline is also deeply connected to emotional control. When you let emotions dictate spending, fear, excitement, envy, you surrender control to forces outside your influence. But when you manage your money with intention, you create stability, confidence, and leverage. That leverage translates to freedom. Freedom to make choices, to walk away from toxic situations, to invest in opportunities others cannot, and to live without constant stress. The people who master money rarely talk about it. They let their actions speak. They understand that wealth isn't just numbers in a bank account. It's the freedom to live life on their terms, the security to handle crises, and the power to act when others are frozen by fear. Every dollar spent recklessly chips away at your autonomy. Every dollar invested with discipline builds your fortress. Over time, these small, consistent acts compound, shaping a life of independence and influence. Money is not the ultimate goal, but control over it is a prerequisite for control over life itself. Master your spending, your saving, and your investing, and suddenly the choices that once seemed impossible become effortless. Discipline over desire in financial matters doesn't just grow wealth, it grows power, stability, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are in control of your own destiny. Your mind is the command center of your life, yet most people leave it unguarded, allowing distractions, doubts, and negativity to dictate their reality. Every thought you entertain shapes your actions, your decisions, and ultimately the results you achieve. If your mind is cluttered, reactive, or unfocused, no matter how skilled or hardworking you are, you will never reach your potential. Focus is not just concentration. It is the deliberate choice to direct your mental energy toward what matters most and away from what does not. Every time you allow yourself to be pulled into gossip, fear, or trivial distractions, you are wasting the most valuable resource you have. Mastering your mind requires awareness and discipline. It begins with noticing what you think, questioning whether it serves you, and actively replacing destructive patterns with constructive ones. This does not happen overnight, but the compounding effect is profound. A focused mind creates clarity in decisions, resilience under pressure, and the ability to see opportunities where others see obstacles. It strengthens your mood because when your thoughts are under control, your emotions are steadier. It sharpens your words because you speak from clarity rather than reaction. It even stabilizes your money decisions because a disciplined mind recognizes the difference between impulsive desire and long-term benefit. The mind also sets the tone for your reality. What you focus on expands. If you fill your thoughts with fear, doubt, and negativity, those elements dominate your life. If you focus on solutions, growth, and strategic actions, your life shifts in alignment with those priorities. Protecting your mind is not just an exercise in mental hygiene, it is an act of power. The quieter, sharper, and more disciplined your mind becomes, the less chaos from the outside world can affect you. You start to act rather than react, to create rather than chase, and to lead rather than follow. Mastery over your mind is not flashy. It is silent, but it underpins every other form of control over your mood, your money, and your words. When your mind is focused, everything else aligns. Control in one area of life does not exist in isolation. Everything is connected. Your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind are not separate silos. They are part of a system. An imbalance in one creates instability in the others. Think about it. A careless word can trigger conflict, sour relationships, and elevate stress. That stress, in turn, disrupts your mood, leaving you irritable or anxious. When your mood is unstable, you make poor financial decisions, impulsive purchases, or risky investments. And when your mind is clouded by negativity, worry, or regret, clarity vanishes, productivity suffers, and opportunities slip through your fingers. The chain reaction is relentless, and most people experience it unconsciously. One small lapse multiplies, spreading like cracks until life feels out of control. But here's the remarkable truth. Mastery works the same way in reverse. Control one area and it ripples outward. Choose your words carefully and your interactions improve, reducing stress and elevating your mood. Stabilize your emotions and your decisions, including financial ones, become sharper and more deliberate. Take control of your money, and your mind gains freedom from constant worry. Protect your mind, and you become resilient in the face of external chaos, emotionally stable, and precise in communication. Understanding this chain reaction changes everything because it shifts your focus from reactive fixes to proactive mastery. You no longer chase control across scattered aspects of life. Instead, you build one pillar at a time, and the system self-stabilizes. It is like stacking blocks. The stronger and more deliberate each piece, the higher and steadier the tower becomes. Real power is not found in heroic bursts or dramatic gestures. It is found in the quiet, intentional cultivation of each area, knowing that small, consistent actions amplify across your life. This understanding transforms the way you act, respond, and plan. Once you see the chain reaction, you stop being a passive participant and start being the architect of your reality. True mastery is never isolated. It is systemic, and the moment you respect that, everything you control begins to align seamlessly, giving you influence and freedom in ways most people never experience. One of the greatest battles every human faces is the temptation of instant gratification. Every day, life presents countless short-term pleasures. Scrolling endlessly on your phone, buying things you don't need, reacting impulsively to situations, or giving in to fleeting emotions. These small, seemingly harmless choices accumulate, quietly shaping your habits, your mindset, and your future. Instant gratification is seductive because it promises immediate satisfaction, but it steals from the future, undermining long-term goals, stability, and personal growth. Discipline is the bridge between today and the future you want. It is the ability to pause, resist, and prioritize what truly matters. Choosing long-term gains over short-term comfort is rarely easy. It often feels uncomfortable, lonely, or restrictive. You skip that unnecessary purchase to save, endure a difficult conversation to maintain a relationship, or suppress an emotional reaction to preserve your dignity. Every time you make that choice, you are investing in yourself, building leverage over circumstances, and creating a life that others might envy but cannot imitate. The challenge is that modern culture constantly trains us to seek the opposite: quick fixes, immediate results, and instant pleasure. To break free, you need awareness, self-control, and deliberate action. Ask yourself before every decision, does this serve my long-term vision or just my immediate desire? Let that question guide your words, moods, financial choices, and mental energy. The impact is compounding. A single moment of restraint may seem insignificant, but repeated consistently, it reshapes habits, builds resilience, and produces results far beyond what impulse could achieve. People who master delayed gratification consistently outperform, outlast, and outthink those who surrender to immediate impulses. They understand that real power is quiet, slow, and steady. It is in patience, strategy, and the conscious rejection of the easy path for the path that leads to control. Freedom and influence. Instant gratification may feel good today, but long-term gains create a life that feels good forever. The choice is yours, and the consequences ripple far beyond what you see in the moment. Most people believe that life's outcomes are determined by circumstances, the economy, other people, luck, or random events. The truth is that external chaos only has power over you if you allow it. Self-mastery is the ability to remain grounded, focused, and in control regardless of what happens outside. It is the understanding that your choices, reactions, and mindset, not outside events, ultimately shape your life. When you master yourself, storms become navigable, challenges become opportunities, and criticism or chaos no longer derail your progress. The key to self-mastery is awareness, knowing your triggers, understanding your patterns, and acting intentionally rather than reactively. It requires constant practice. You cannot control what others do, but you can control how you respond. You cannot prevent difficulties, but you can choose resilience. This mastery begins with small, deliberate actions, pausing before speaking, managing emotions, making disciplined financial decisions, and protecting your mind from distractions or negativity. Over time, these small acts accumulate, forming a mental, emotional, and behavioral fortress that external events cannot easily penetrate. Self-mastery also transforms your relationships. People who are controlled and centered draw respect and influence because they are not easily manipulated. They create calm in the middle of chaos, clarity in confusion, and confidence in uncertainty. The world will always throw challenges your way, but mastery makes you immune to unnecessary suffering and reactive mistakes. It allows you to act strategically, plan ahead, and maintain consistency even when pressure is high. The most powerful people are rarely the loudest or the strongest. They are those who control themselves when everything else is out of control. This level of discipline extends into every area. Your words become precise, your emotions steady, your financial decisions deliberate, and your focus unbreakable. When you achieve self-mastery, you are no longer a passenger in life, tossed by circumstance. You are the driver, steering deliberately toward your vision. True freedom and influence are not granted by luck or circumstance. They are claimed through the consistent practice of controlling yourself when everything else is uncertain. Master yourself, and the world bends around your choices rather than the other way around. True mastery rarely announces itself. The most powerful people are not the loudest, the flashiest, or the most aggressive. They are the ones who move with quiet confidence, consistency, and control. This is what I call the silent edge, the invisible advantage that comes from mastering your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind without seeking recognition. The world often rewards noise, drama, and display, which is why most people overestimate the value of shouting to be heard. But influence and freedom are most profound when they are understated. The silent edge works because it is deceptive. People underestimate those who operate quietly, assuming passivity where there is actually precision. Every word, every decision, every action is calculated, intentional, and aligned with long-term goals. This edge allows you to act without needing validation, to influence without needing applause, and to win battles without exposing your strategies. It also creates resilience.